Hey everybody, this is SWChris. I am from SW City and welcome back to Building Zelda. So, the results of our Easter Island contest statue thing is behind me. Let's go ahead and take a look at these. So, these are by One Only Dan. So he made some similar statues to mine, just a little bit different design. They're a little bit more squat and they have kind of the same face design, but they're a little more wide and a little more squat, so that's a good idea. If you see here, we have kind of a more defined face pattern here, and we have one without moss, so there's two options here that we can play around with. Pay no attention to what's in the background. I am recording this after I did everything for this episode, so I'm trying my best to hide it. Let's see here. So we've got three statues here. This one, and this one, and they are by Enlardo 8-Man. So this first one here, let's take a look at this one. This is meant to resemble Majora's Mask. As you can see, it's got the mask shape there with kind of a glowy evil pattern in it. Looks very good in this texture pack. I like the way the quartz offsets it. And there's some kind of pillars up here to make it stand out just a little bit more, make it a little more ornamental. Looks great. Here we have a castle tower type of design. It takes up the same footprint, and it looks like a castle tower. It's pretty straightforward, and I like that too, especially since it has a little observation deck up here. We can probably use this somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. Maybe the swamp. We'll see. And this one really impressed me. I love this one. This is based off of a Twilight Princess owl statue. You guys can see it, right? The eyes and the beak and then kind of the wings folding in on themselves. It looks awesome. I love this. I could not have designed this myself, mainly because I was wanting to get the owl on all four faces, and he just decided to do it on two, and that's what made the design work in my estimation. I mean, this is a really good example of an owl, I think. As far as Minecraft blocks go, and at this scale, this is as detailed as you can get, and it looks great. So I love that. I will be using that for sure in the swamps. I might even move it in over there a little bit, but we'll see. Ever since the last episode, I kind of got to thinking, and there's a extra statue right there. We'll delete that off camera. I put an extra statue in, but I like how the statues here are kind of uniform. So we'll see if I put any of these in over there. They will definitely be going into the swamp, however, once we get around to building that. Okay, so we got this one. This one is from Spootmaster Flash, and it is based off a Skyward Sword moblin, so you can kind of see the design here. It's got the high forehead here, I think, and the two eyes, and kind of the fangs. They look kind of fangs and an open mouth. It looks good. I like this. So this is a good design. It is based off of one of the monsters, so that's definitely a new way to do it. And then over here we have a mini version of kind of the face design by Grateful, and Grateful went with a small kind of footprint here, and you can see he's got the kind of the mustache in the mouth and the two eye holes here and the nose and then the browed ridged forehead here. It looks great. I like this one as well. We'll be using this in the swamp for sure. Can't use it over there because it doesn't take up the same footprint, but we will dot it around the swamp and make it look make it fit in there. So this is great. I love these submissions. Thanks guys for putting yourselves out there and letting me look at these and letting me use them in this this adventure map. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on the party tree. So let's go ahead and zoom over here. Now I'm starting by building the tree's trunk and building out the root system. You can tell it's pretty large. And then I start in on the branches, and then I start adding some foliage. Now as I'm building it up here, you're probably starting to notice a familiar shape. Looks like the tree in the game, doesn't it? Well, that's not on accident. This is the only tree in this adventure map that is going to look like this. I didn't want them all to look like this because that's boring. But we need this tree because it's really iconic and cool looking. I originally built it a little too tall, so I've shortened it up a bit. Now the cliff face I've created is just a little too short in my estimation to fit both the tree and the road that's going to head up to the castle. I don't want to delete the trees in the background there in order to make room for the road, so we're extending the cliff face just a little bit here. And that extension is causing us to have to retexture the sides. And so that's what we're doing right here. And then once we get up here, we move the tree over closer to the cliff into its proper position at a small little hill, and then it's time to add the fence and the foliage that's nearby the tree. And I'm adding an extra little ring of foliage around the bottom of the tree's canopy just to make it a little more round and a little less half spherical. Satisfied with my work, I'm heading back over to Link's house. I am not happy with the roof. And so what we're going to do here is work on making it a little better. I was never happy with the way it was flat, and so we're adding a gabled roof, and here are a few experimental designs before we kind of settle on a rough shape. I've been inspired by the Tudor design recently, and so I'm adding touches of that into the side here. And if you've played Link Between Worlds, you notice that Link's house now has kind of a second story to it. So we add that front window. I like that design a lot, and I think it adds some character to the building. Now the next few shots are me just refining the basic ideas that I just told you about. We add some depth into the sides of the house, because that is what makes things look pretty in Minecraft, up to a point. And I say up to a point because if you add too much depth too close together, everything starts looking a little jumbled. If you look on some of the more elite teams' builds, you can kind of tell that they get a little carried away with the depth idea, and there's no real structure to that. So you want to keep a balance, and that's what I try to do with this house. Next, I add a little chimney because we forgot to do that the first time. Whoops. And I experiment with adding cobweb smoke, but I hate that suspended animation type of stuff, so I just got rid of it. Now, if we take a look at the house here, you notice that it's looking a little top-heavy, and so we need to fix that. I also don't like how the sides of the second story are a couple blocks further in than the walls on the first story, and so we go ahead and try to fix that here by moving the roof one block up and adding an extra block onto the first story. Now we move inside and we go ahead and detail the inside a little more just to make it more consistent and, you know, just to get rid of the errors introduced by adding the new roof. The front's looking a little bare now, and so we turn the front area kind of into a stone wall. That adds some character to it, I think. And then we head back outside for the final refinement. We go ahead and make the roof a little more rounded like it is in A Link Between Worlds, and we invert the stone and cobble on the pillars so that the stone is the more structurally sound and takes the place of the foundation, and the cobble is more decorative. Finally, we tweak the second story window so it looks even more like the one in A Link Between Worlds. And then we move on to Hyrule Field, wherein we add some foliage from the actual game, but we also add kind of a dry, shallow riverbed that goes into the canyon. And the reason we do that is because I want some semi-realistic erosion patterns here, and the way the canyon kind of cuts in on itself makes this a natural spot for an ancient drainage bed. Now, one last thing before we go. The folks over at Fun for Freedom are doing a Zeldathon. That's where they play through all the games in the Zelda canon in about a week's time. They're still going, so head on over to zeldathon.net and tell them I sent you. Toss a few bucks towards St. Jude's Children's Research. They do cancer research and help kids who are dealing with that. Anyway, that's about it for me. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode. Next time, we're going to get to Hyrule Castle, finally, at last. So until then, my name is SWChris. Auf Wiedersehen, arrivederci, hasta la vista, bye-bye.